Okay. One Piece chapter 1132. This is part of the joy that I take when the Straw Hats go to different islands. Is we get to see more of like the dynamics and how each village is different. And so we learn in this chapter that there are three different levels, and the underworld level is the one down at the very bottom. And it's like, okay, that's why it's so cold now. Then you get to the level above that, then you get to the level at the very top where everything is beautiful and warm and etc. And that just kind of again put into perspective how massive this island is, and by extension, how massive the entire One Piece world is. Because for there to be a island this big that giants can roam around and have multiple different levels to it, and it not crash like this, that means that like their oceans have to be massive. Like that's like the nerd in me. But the other thing too that I like was like we get to see them ride on a fucking rainbow. And it's like something like that should not shock me because we saw the Straw Hats literally go up to Skypiea. We saw them riding on cloud waves. We saw them go underwater. So it's like at some point I should stop being shocked. But when they're like, yeah, we're going to ride on a rainbow, I'm like, you're going to ride on a motherfucking what? Like, this is the shit I love. Like, I know this sounds like a broken record, but One Piece just takes me back to being like a child, like reading books, whether it be like the Peter Pan books or Treasure Island, like all the different books my mom used to make me read to try and make me stay out of trouble. Like the way that Oda is able to tap into that childlike innocence and the exploration aspect and just so many different things, even at his age. I never cease to be amazed by this. So let me back up because again, I don't want to get completely off track here. So let's go through the chapter itself. My God, was this a fun chapter though? So we open up and we see Kowloon, and he's like, hey, captains, are you going to drink at the pub? And we find out like, oh yeah, we got to get celebrations ready. And then we find out that Shanks had already told him, don't forget this name, Straw Hat Luffy. Shanks was basically expecting them to get here at some point. And that's where we find out that they're riding on the rainbow. And what I like here is that as the Straw Hats, and I like Bonnie, and like having Bonnie here, I don't know how much longer she's going to be with them because they all escape just out of the necessary need to get the fuck off of Egghead. But I would like to see Bonnie remain on the crew, even if she's not as a member of the crew, but just being there by extension. Because number one, it kind of parallels back to like Shanks being a small kid and being on the King of the Pirates crew, but also the way that Bonnie's eyes just light up. And you have Nico Robin there with her, and she tells her later on in the chapter, like, oh, there are so many things in this world for you to see. And Bonnie is focusing on just the colors of the rainbow. And she's able to just kind of show us a literal childlike innocence. Like Luffy already shows it, but Luffy to a degree is also jaded with the reality of the real world. And like Bonnie, she has been jaded. She's seen things. And yet at the same time, now that you know that she's a child, I feel like that just adds a different layer to what we see with the Straw Hats here. Like I really hope she stays. So I love the fact that we do see them riding on the rainbow. I popped when I saw that. I fucking popped when I saw that. And that's like such a beautiful double page spread too. Like I love that. And I like how as Bonnie and Robin are looking over at everything and you just see again, like Bonnie eyes wide open. That's where you find out like the reason why we saw the two giants before is that they were getting food ready for Luffy. And that's where we jump over and we're at the connecting rope bridge of the underworld and the sun world. And basically Gerd and Goldberg, they scooped up Luffy. And Gerd, at first, like when Gerd and Goldberg were talking, I was like, we got to kind of be careful, enemies, etc. And basically, she's like, I love little humans, but I'm not like him. And they're referring to Roto, the guy that called himself the sun god, basically. And what I like is that as she's saying, like, I just want to be friends. I don't want to lock you up. And you just see with her, like, the excitement that she gets from being around Luffy. The other thing that I like there is that as Goldberg is talking, like, you just flew up from the underworld. Did you fall down there? And he's asking questions, and Luffy has that look on his face. I'm like, oh God, he made the deal, didn't he? Like, I knew he was going to do it. But sure enough, Oda has the flashback panel, and I like this. Like, again, a lesser mangaka would have just shown us that panel in real time. This is why you use flashbacks. That way you don't mess up the pacing. And basically, Loki's like, don't tell anyone about our promise. And Luffy is lying. And I do feel like that's a mistake, but Luffy's going to get away with it just because he's a Luffy. It's kind of hard to hate the guy unless you're Blackbeard or Akainu or anybody else of that nature. But basically, we jump over after that, and we see as they're being chased by Roto, basically Nami was used as bait. Same with Chopper. And Roto ends up falling for a very easy trap that was set up by Zoro and Usopp. And, Sanji's like, okay, like, let's get going. I want to explore. And as Roto's trying to get up, that's when Gerd and Goldberg show up, and they just clock this dude from the back of his head. And then as Sanji's looking, he's like, oh my God, giant princess, I want to be friends with you too. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. Sanji's completely perved out at this point. And everyone's glad that they see Luffy again. And what I like here is that they say, like, we're Hajurdin's friends. And basically, she scoops them up. And like Luffy and Usopp have taken off running. And it's like they're exploring, and we know why they're exploring because of both of them, they want to see Elbaph. So like that makes sense there, especially on Usopp. But when I tell you, I fucking fell out. I fucking fell out when I'm like, wait a second, Gerd scooped them up. And she's saying we gotta go chase after them. And then I'm looking, and I see the Straw Hats. I see Zoro. I see Nami. And I see Sanji. I'm like, why does he have the heart emoji? And then I'm like, holy shit, he's late. This motherfucker Sanji is so unserious. Everyone else is sitting straight up. This motherfucker is laid back, comfortable. And it's because he's positioned the highest up toward the dip of Gerd's cleavage. Sanji is so fucking unserious. Holy shit, dude. I laughed my ass off here. And like my next thought was like, how's she gonna carry them? And they're riding on her tits. And then I'm like, or breasts, excuse me. And I'm like, this motherfucker Sanji's so unserious. And it gets worse. It gets worse later on because he's got his face, like he's gone from laid on his back to laying face down, cheek basically rubbing in. He's motorboating basically, eyes closed, smiling like, oh my God. This, Sanji went through some shit just trapped like with Ivankov and the rest of the drag queens. Because it's like he came out of the time skip and we are hundreds of chapters removed from the time skip. And he's more horny than I ever fucking remember him. Like, this is almost as bad as him needing a fucking blood transfusion. Oh my God. Shit like this should not make me laugh, but it does, man. I got a special place in my heart for the pervy gag character. Like, Jesus Christ, Sanji, get a grip. And so I like how after, Nico Robin and them get the explanation what's going on, like as far as the different layers that you get, we get more narrator context. And, this comes as we're getting like the flashback when we see Luffy and Usopp celebrating, saying one day they're going to go to Elbaph, and now they're there. And we see Usopp with the tears in his eyes. The narrator context. And I guess like this isn't necessarily narrator context much as since Oda's got the scrolls here as part of the message that was left, but it's basically saying in the presence of this giant island that we have, there's so much to explore here. And there are giant plants and insects and animals, etc. Everything's huge, but don't regret that the time that you have here, but also do not overstay your welcome. And so now this makes me want to go back to the character Loki. Was this written by somebody that crossed Loki before? Because like it sounds like, again, 6 years ago, we don't know when this message was left. What all happened? Because like Elbaph seems like a very chill place. So what's the point of this message? Like, this is what I love about going to new islands and every island having its own history and etc. That is why One Piece and Eden Zero, in the case of Eden Zero, going to different planets, they have a special place in my heart. You know, like, I like this. Like, I like when mangaka just get to different places like this and just dive into the history and they just layer it in for you bit by bit. And so my chapter questions are going to be, number one, what did you take away from that message that was left? And then number two, on a scale from 1 to 10, how down bad is Sanji right now, man? I got to give this motherfucker a 10. Like, this is some Momonosuke level of perving out here. This is bad. Like the fat face and everything look like he's sleeping, and like that looks like some shit Momonosuke would have done. Like, the only thing that's missing is his eyes wide open looking directly at us as the audience, way that Momonosuke used to do. Like, Oda knows what the fuck he's doing here, man. But, so always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, have an awesome day, guys.